3 body language secrets you didn't know, told through a very American story. Alex Rivera never thought twice about body language. He was a product manager in Austin, the sort of guy who could summarize a sprint plan, crack a joke about Buc-ee's, and wolf down a breakfast taco before his 9 a.m. stand-up. His world was Trello boards, calendar invites, and Slack pings. If you'd asked him what body language meant, he would have rattled off a couple of he'd heard in a corporate training video. Don't cross your arms. Maintain eye contact. Smile sometimes. Nothing wrong with that, just the kind of advice that floats around like recycled air. But in the 6 weeks that followed one brutally awkward Monday, Alex's life would pivot on 3 body language secrets he swears he'd never heard before. 3 signals you can read fast, used ethically, and turn into subtle, real-world advantages in American workplaces, coffee shops, boardrooms, and yes, even first dates. He didn't learn them from a TED Talk or a glossy book. He learned them from a stranger with gray hair pulled into a low bun, a navy blazer that had seen enough sunrises, and a habit of noticing what other people miss. The Monday that changed everything started with a pitch. Alex had spent 2 months preparing for a product demo with a Fortune 500 partner based in Dallas. The deck was tight. The prototype felt clean. He had his CTO on standby and his CEO watching from the back of the room with that tight-lipped smile. That means, kid, we're counting on you! The partner's VP of operations, a woman named Dana with a reputation for precision, took a seat near the end of the conference table in their co-working space. Her team filtered an operations lead, 2 analysts, a project manager whose laptop stickers were wittier than most Twitter bios. Alex started strong. He'd read a blog about storytelling and sprinkled in a hook about how Americans spend 37 billion hours a year on tasks that could be automated. Then he clicked to the second slide and felt the energy leak out of the room. Dana's face stayed neutral. Her analysts didn't frown, but they weren't leaning in either. A couple of people typed. Someone glanced at the door. The question period was polite but distant, like a first date where both people know they're not going to text. By the time the partner team left, Alex had that hollow feeling in his ribcage. He'd done a decent job, objectively. He'd said the right words, but he couldn't shake it. He'd missed something right in front of him. He went back to his desk, finished a few emails, and tried to tell himself to move on. He couldn't. So he did what a lot of us do when the day has knocked us sideways. Wandered to the coffee shop downstairs. The place did great pour-overs and played an easy rotation of Fleetwood Mac, John Mayer, and the occasional 90s hip-hop track that made people smirk. On the wall, a framed poster of Willie Nelson smiled down like a patient uncle. Alex got in line behind a woman in a blazer and practical shoes. She had the posture of someone who could keep a room calm during turbulence and the eyes of someone who'd seen things. When she ordered, she did it with a small nod and a look that somehow made the barista stand a little taller. He wasn't sure why, but he noticed her noticing people. Not in a creepy way. In a way that made you feel like a person could be a story. When he reached the pickup counter, a voice spoke next to him. You ever notice that? Shoes tell secrets? The woman asked, not looking at him. Alex blinked. Sorry. She tilted her chin toward the couple at the end of the bar. They're on a second date. He thinks he needs to be funny, but she wants something simple. Her left foot has been pointing toward the door since he sat down. That felt oddly specific. Alex followed her gaze, careful not to stare. The woman at the end of the bar was smiling. Sure, but her left foot was angled slightly toward the hallway leading to the exit. Toe pointed away from the guy. Alex had never thought about feet pointing anywhere, much less toward doors. The woman in the blazer looked at him. You okay? You have the look of someone who had a we'll be in touch morning. He smiled despite himself. Product demo. Partner team in a hurry. She asked. Did they sit? Move? Look at the door a lot? All he could do was shrugged. I don't know. They were kind of polite? She shook her head once, almost pitying. Americans are polite, right up until the moment they're not. Feet tell you when that moment is coming. And just like that, Alex tumbled into a conversation that would reroute the next month of his life. Her name was Maya. She'd spent 2 decades working in threat assessment and behavior analysis, mostly stateside. Sometimes abroad, always watching human patterns. She didn't say FBI, and Alex didn't ask. She didn't need to flash a badge to be credible. She ordered a cappuccino, took a quiet spot by the window, and when Alex hesitated, she gestured at the chair across from her. Take a seat. I'll give you the 30,000-foot view. He sat. She pointed to her own feet. Here's what most people miss. Feet are the first truth tellers. The rest of the body can be trained. Faces lie, hands perform, voices create fog. But feet go first. They point where the brain wants to go, and they leak the exit plan before the person even knows they're thinking about it. He leaned in. So what do I do with that? Put tape on the floor! She laughed once. A quick burst. You watch. And you use your own feet to influence the room without ever saying a word. She told him that in American contexts, busy offices, networking events, fast-paced meetings, people are moving, shifting, and getting interrupted. You'll miss everything if you only watch faces. So, start where nobody else looks. Notice the escape foot, the one that points toward the door, the aisle, the elevator, anywhere but you. When someone likes you, their feet, hips, and shoulders align toward you. When they're done, their torso might still face you out of politeness, but one foot will have rotated away like it's got places to be. If you catch that early, you can adapt before their mind checks out. He protested, but people cross their legs or pivot for comfort, right? Of course, she said. Nothing is 100%, but feet are a compass. It's not about catching liars. It's about reading direction. And you can nudge that compass. If you want someone to open up, angle your own feet gently toward them. Clear obstacles between you and them. Coffee cups, laptops, purses on the table are little psychological fences. You'll be shocked how often their feet reorient towards you without them realizing. Alex stared at the couple again. The woman's left foot shifted, now pointing more toward the hallway. The guy made a joke and drummed his fingers on his cup. He had no idea. Maya continued. In your demo, I would have stood where the door wasn't. If you put the screen where their bodies have to face you and the exit route is to your side, you can tell who's with you at a glance. If you see too many feet angling away, throw a question into the room and see if you can get them to reorient by physically stepping a half foot in their direction. It's not magic. It's physics. Secret one had a name. The foot compass. And if Alex had learned nothing else from that cappuccino, it would have been worth it. But Maya wasn't finished. You think you're losing people because your slides aren't pretty enough, she said. That's not it. You're losing them because you can't feel the moment the room's nervous system spikes. He frowned. The room's nervous system. Blink rate, she said, eye-blocking micropauses. The body keeps a running log of stress and cognitive load. You can read it on people's eyes faster than anything else, but not in the way Instagram tells you. She set her cup down and leaned back. Here's what most folks never learn. You don't need to count blinks like a metronome to get this right. Just find the baseline for the person you're talking to. Most Americans blink somewhere in the 10 to 20 blinks per minute zone in casual conversation, but it varies. You watch the first 30 seconds. Are they smooth, evenly blinking? Good! Now watch for spikes, bursts of faster blinks when you say something that lands hard or confuses them. Or the opposite, a sudden long stare with no blinks, like the system is holding its breath. Both mean cognitive load. Neither means lying, but both tell you right here. This is the moment to slow down, clarify, or give them a way out. She demonstrated with her own eyes, a slow, deliberate blink. Then a few quick blinks. Eye blocking is another one. People will do microshields when something stresses them. Rubbing the eyes, pinching the nose bridge, touching the brow, even that tiny squeeze shut for a split second. Watch for that when you drop a price, ask for a commitment, or share a hard truth. If you see it, don't steamroll. Pause for 2 beats. Offer context. Your calm becomes contagious. And if I want to project.com? Alex asked. He felt the question land in him like a dart. He often talked too fast when he cared too much. Breathe out longer than you breathe in, Maya said. Let your shoulders settle. Soft focus your gaze, look at the person's eyes, then their mouth, then back, like you're drawing a very small triangle. That prevents stare-down energy, which Americans associate with conflict. And blink naturally. Not slow motion. Creepy, just present. Your blink rate will regulate theirs. Humans are social creatures. We mirror without knowing it. You can lower the tempo of the conversation simply by being a metronome for calm. Alex felt something untangle inside him. He could do that. He could watch for spikes, let his exhale lengthen, and give the moment a tiny cushion. He tucked that into his mental pocket with a foot compass. 2 secrets. He began to wonder if there was a third. Maya wasn't theatrical, but she knew how to land a point. She picked up her cup, took a sip, and nodded toward the door, where a woman in scrubs had just walked in. Her posture was alert, but not defensive. She scanned the room once, then relaxed and made her way to the end of the bar, eyes softening when she spotted someone she knew. As she approached, the 2 people mirrored each other's posture without even trying. One leaned on the right hip, the other on the right hip a second later. One laughed and lifted a hand. The other lifted their hand as if pulled by a string. Mirroring, Alex said, because even he knew that word. Maya made a so-so tilt with her hand. People think mirroring means you copy someone like a mime. That's how you get caught and look weird. The real secret is lagged mirroring and leading. Echo, don't imitate. Wait a couple of seconds, count 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, and adopt the vibe. Not the exact gesture. If they're upright and high energy, you don't become a cartoon. You lift your chin slightly. Let your gestures be a little bigger. If they're more contained, you dial it back. Lean in just a degree. Soften your hands. You send a signal. We're in the same channel. She leaned forward. Now here's the part most people truly don't know. After you echo for a minute or 2 and you feel rapport, gently lead. Adjust your posture to a more open, collaborative frame and cross to ankles, palms visible, shoulders relaxed, and see if they follow within a few seconds. If they do, congrats, you have rhythm together. From there, you can lead in small ways. Ask the hard question. Float the bold idea. When people follow your body's lead, they're more ready to follow your narrative. Alex sat with that. The foot compass. The blink barometer. Echo and lead. 3 secrets. Each one simple enough to practice in line at a coffee shop. Each one immediate enough to change a meeting before it was too late. Why are you telling me this? He asked. Maya smiled. Because you look like the kind of person who will use this to connect rather than manipulate. And because I like my neighborhood coffee shop to be full of people who listen. He didn't argue. He thanked her, promised to try it, and walked out into the Texas sun feeling like he'd borrowed a pair of glasses that made daily life sharper. The first test came faster than he expected. That afternoon, he had a follow-up call with the Dallas partner team. This time on Zoom. Normally, he stared at faces and tried to scan 10 windows at once. Today, he changed his setup. He stood, angled his camera so his torso was square to the lens, and cleared his desk of clutter. He noticed Dana's posture. She was centered, but one analyst's chair was angled slightly, and he kept glancing off screen. Alex couldn't see feet on camera, but he watched for the virtual equivalent-turly signals of exit. He spotted a quick cluster of fast blinks. When he mentioned integration timelines, cognitive load. He paused. That timeline is our standard, he said, letting his exhale be a beat longer. But we can break it into phases if you need to go live in steps. How does that land on your side? The analyst who'd been blinking fast looked back and took a breath. Phases would help a lot, she said. He felt Etherroom's nervous system easing a notch. 2 days later, he had an in-person networking event downtown. Big room, high ceilings, everyone pretending not to hover by the charcuterie table. Alex tried the foot compass. He approached people at a 45-degree angle, feet angled open, leaving space for them to join or exit without friction. He watched whose toes turned toward him within a few seconds, their bodies saying yes before their mouths did, and invested his energy there instead of chasing people whose feet pointed toward the bar. He met a woman from a design studio who kept her feet aligned with his for 15 minutes. By the end, they were swapping notes about a joint project. He escaped to conversations politely when feet angled away, saying, "I'll let you grab a refill, but I'd love to email you something we're building," and meant it. He kept practicing. He listened to blinks. He watched for those quick eye shields when he floated a price. And learned to add a sentence of context before the discomfort calcified. He let his body be a tuning fork for calm, breathing out longer, blinking naturally, and never weaponizing eye contact. He echoed and led, especially with new clients. He'd match their energy for a minute, then open his posture, soften his voice, and see if they met him there. When they did, he knew it was time to ask the bigger ask. It wasn't all epic wins. Sometimes he overread. Once, he tried to match a founder's high-energy posture and ended up feeling like he was in a pit. He reset, quietly grounded, his feet flat on the floor, dropped his shoulders, and let his gestures shrink by a third. The founder followed within a minute, breathing a little slower. They met in the middle. About 2 weeks after the coffee shop, Alex had a second chance with the Dallas partner, this time at their headquarters. He arrived early. In the conference room, he adjusted the chairs so that the focal point would be slightly away from the door. Gentle trick to keep bodies aligned without anyone noticing. When people filed in, he said hello and placed his laptop. So there was no stack of barriers between him and the table. During the conversation, he felt the moment the room's nervous system tightened. A burst of blinks from Dana and her analyst. When he mentioned internal engineering resources on their side, he didn't bulldoze. He paced himself. "We've seen teams get impressive results, even when they're bandwidth constrained," he said, letting his shoulders settle. "If you're slammed, we can put in a dedicated support engineer for month 1, and then taper." Does that take a bit of pressure off? Heads nodded. The exit foot stayed tucked under chairs, aligned to the table, not the door. On the flight home, Alex ended up in one of those heartfelt aisle-to-window conversations with a woman named Olivia who lived in East Austin and taught high school English. She rolled her eyes when the pilot announced there'd be a delay at the gate. But when she turned toward him, her shoulders squared and her feet tucked toward him, not away, he didn't try to perform. He let his body echo her cadenza, little animated, a little skeptical, very human end, then led gently into calmer territory when the turbulence made someone gasp a few rows back. He noticed her blinks pick up when he mentioned leaving California for Texas 3 years ago. She said she'd moved from Chicago and missed the lake. He let the conversation breathe. When they landed, they exchanged numbers, and it didn't feel forced. There was also a moment where the secrets saved him from a mistake. In a vendor negotiation, a rep pitched a great price, but kept performing with his hands, face animated. And yet his feet, just visible under the glass, tub-langled hard toward the door. The rep wasn't lying, Alex realized. He was trying to get through a script. He'd promised his manager he would deliver. Alex softened everything voice posture. Blink Raytan said, "If you need to check something on your side before we wrap, let's do that now." The rep almost sagged with relief. "I actually need to confirm one clause," he admitted. They took 5. The deal came back stronger, with better terms, because Alex didn't bulldoze through the human signals. The story could end there, with Alex becoming the kind of person who reads a room like a map and moves through his life with a bit more grace. But something else happened. Something distinctly American. His company had a quarterly offsite at a lodge near Lake Travis. The agenda had the typical mix: team wins, a leadership Q&A, and a soft skills session everyone assumed would be about gratitude journals. The facilitator, an earnest man in a Patagonia vest, asked if anyone had a practical tool they'd used lately to improve their communication. Alex didn't plan to speak, but then he noticed the whole room. 25 pairs of sneakers and boots aimlessly pointing at screens, doors, and coffee dispensers. Nobody's feet aligned with anybody. It looked like polite chaos. He raised his hand. "Can I share something weird I learned in line at a coffee shop?" He told them about the foot compass. People chuckled. Then he had them try it. Pair up. Angle your feet directly toward your partner and notice the difference in feeling versus speaking with feet off at 45 degrees. The room buzzed. Someone said, "Wait, I actually feel more listened to when your toes face me. A designer said, my mom does that escape foot thing every time I mention moving to New York. People laughed, but their bodies were realigning without anyone forcing it. He added the blink barometer. He told them not to count blinks like maniacs, just to notice the baseline and the spikes. A developer said, is that why my manager seems intense on Zoom? He barely blinks. I think I stopped breathing. Alex showed them the tiny triangle gaze. It's how you keep attention without making someone feel stared down, he said. It keeps both of you in the parasympathetic lane. Heads nodded. Someone actually tried it in the room and exhaled like they dropped a duffel bag. Finally, he explained echo and led. He told them to try a 2-second delay before matching someone's energy. Let yourself be a beat behind, he said. Then, when you feel a rhythm, test a tiny let open your posture a bit. Uncross your ankles, put your pen down and see if they follow. If they do, that's your green light to be a little bolder. They tried it. It looked subtle. It felt big. Afterward, a colleague pulled him aside. You just gave me the playbook I didn't know I needed for talking to our CFO, she said. He's not scary, but I always feel like I crash into his schedule. I'm going to watch his feet and his blink rate and stop overperforming. I'm going to echo him, then lead him toward the idea instead of just shoving it at him. That night, toes in the water on the dock, Alex texted Maya a thank you. She wrote back, feet first, eyes second. Echo, then lead. Use it kindly. He wanted to ask how she'd learned all this, but maybe it didn't matter. Some teachers arrive without a syllabus and change the way you move through the world. Weeks passed. Dallas signed the deal. Olivia and Alex kept texting and said yes to tacos at a spot on the east side. Alex didn't become a mind reader. He became a better listener. He noticed the quiet tilt of a coworker's feet and knew she needed an easy exit from a meeting that had gone on too long. He watched the client's blink rate spike and slowed down just long enough to save a conversation from derailing. He echoed a founder's tempo for 3 minutes and then led him right into an idea that landed without pushback. These weren't manipulations. They were compassion, timing, and gravity. At some point, he realized that the 3 secrets weren't really secrets at all. They were patterns underground rivers you can feel if you take your shoes off and stand still. Americans are busy. We juggle and it shows. Our bodies give away what our calendars can't say. And that's the beauty of these tools. They don't ask anyone to become someone else. They ask you to notice the story already being told and to enter it with respect. If you're reading this in an office in Chicago with the hum of an espresso machine in the background. In a co-working space in Austin with Willie Nelson on the wall. In a Brooklyn coffee shop where the tables are too small and the conversations are too big. Here's what I hope you'll carry into your next hour. Watch the feet. Point yours where you want the conversation to go and watch how people orient toward you like sunflowers turning toward the light. Listen with your eyes. Find someone's natural blink rhythm and respect the spike by giving them air. Use your body as a gentle mirror, a beat behind, never on top of them. Then lead. Invite them with an open posture, steady breath, and a voice that gives them space to step forward. You'll find that doors open more easily, not because you kicked them down, but because you caught the moment when the hinges relaxed. You'll feel meetings loosen, dates warm up, negotiations soften from a zero-sum arm wrestle into a problem 2 humans are solving together. And on the days when it all still goes sideways, you'll at least know why, and that's its own kind of power. Months after that first coffee, Alex ran into Maya again. Same shop. Different day. She was stirring sugar into her cappuccino, and he walked up with a grin he couldn't suppress. I owe you a lot of good days, he said. She looked at his feet, which were pointed squarely toward her, and then at his eyes, which blinked with unforced ease. Looks like you paid yourself, she said. He laughed. I taught my team your 3 secrets. They're not mine, she said, wiping a small circle of foam from the rim of her cup. They belong to anyone who cares enough to notice. On his way out, Alex paused by the door to let someone in, and without thinking, he angled his feet toward the counter where the barista had asked for a hand with the napkins. An older man stepped by, smiled, and said, "You go ahead." It was a small thing. It was also everything. The foot compass had taught him where to stand. The blink barometer had taught him when to pause. Echo and lead had taught him how to invite, not shove. We like to think life is made of big moments, promotions, proposals, wins so obvious they deserve a champagne cork. But most days are made of smaller ones. A foot shifting inward instead of toward the exit, a blink softening as stress melts, a posture opening a path between us. In the span of a conversation at a coffee shop and the weeks that followed, Alex learned to catch those moments. You can too. Feet first, eyes second, echo, then lead. And if you forget, just remember the woman in scrubs meeting a friend at a bar in Austin. Two bodies that knew how to find each other again, not because anyone choreographed it, but because we are wired to sync when someone chooses to notice. So the next time you walk into a meeting in a glass-walled conference room on the 28th floor, or step up to a counter to order a note latte, or take a seat at a first date table with too much ambient noise, carry these three with you like quiet tools. Aim your feet, steady your breath, echo, and invite. Watch the room turn, one person at a time, until everyone feels just a bit more at ease. It won't make you a mind reader. It'll make you the most human person in the room. And that's the secret nobody tells you about body language in America. It's not about decoding strangers like they're puzzles. It's about giving people a soft place to land. That's where trust starts. Deals get done, and the best stories yours included actually begin.